Egypt is a dry country with very little rainfall. The Nile River is the main source of water for agriculture. Farmers depend on a network of canals that are providing irrigation water year-round. With 2 growing seasons, farmers irrigate their land up to 10 times a year using diesel pumps. While farmers in most regions have an almost constant supply of water, their over-irrigation leads to a rising water table, waterlogging, and salinity buildup in the topsoil. Waterlogging happens when excess water can no longer be captured by the drainage system. Let us hear Sayed, a farmer from Minya in Upper Egypt, explain why good drainage is crucial to have a good harvest.
هي الأرض زي كده أحيانا ما بتبقاش عايزة المية إلا القدر اللي يشغل النبات بتاعها. إحنا بنديها قدر ممكن تقعد الأرض.
The land should have the amount of water the plants need. If the top layer of your soil is covered with water, the roots will no longer function normally. They are unable to absorb nutrients from the soil, affecting the overall health of your crop. But when plants receive the right amount of water, they will give a good harvest.
ولكن لما ياخد المطلوب بتاعه حسب ظروفه في استعمال المية أكيد مدي المحتويات المطلوبة وأفضل كمان.
Therefore, drainage is essential in clay soils. To avoid waterlogging, farmers have been leveling their lands with a tractor, pulling a heavy wooden log, or by using a laser leveler. They create a slight slope so that water moves easily across their land to the drainage canal. But sometimes, even this is not enough. In this video, we will learn how to make raised beds so that you can produce more with less water and make more profit. Raised beds must be 20 to 30 centimeters high, 80 to 100 centimeters wide, and the furrows 30 to 40 centimeters wide. The beds can be 50 to 100 meters long, depending on the slope of the field. On raised beds, you can grow from 3 to 7 rows of wheat crop or from 2 to 4 rows of fava bean. While many farmers already make narrow ridges and furrows to improve irrigation, they can save further on water and improve their yield by establishing wider raised beds.
الأرض بتتخطط على مصاطب تقوم بتوزع المية بتتوزع في الأرض.
When the land is prepared with raised beds, it distributes the water better. A field that used to take 4 hours to irrigate using the diesel pump now only takes 1.5 hours because the water only runs in the furrows. And as the furrows absorb the water without submerging the wheat crop, this is also better for the plant.
بتبقى أحسن من الأرض اللي غرقانة لأن الأرض لو غرقت مش هتجيب محصول.
By spending far less time pumping water, you can save considerable amount on the pumping costs. Because the beds are wide, water is channeled faster through the land, while seeping into the soil and reaching the roots directly. In fact, the water even reaches the roots of the plants in the middle row, if the beds are properly set up. On raised beds, crops have more space to grow.
المصطبة دي عم تخلي الفول يولد. الأول كنا عم نزرعه على سراب رفيعة 3 شكات. كان الفول الأم دي بس اللي تطلع غلة والباقي ده كله ينعم. نيجي نقصر الفول يبقى هو عود واحد مطلع غلة قدامنا والباقي كله عبارة عن بودرة.
We used to plant 3 rows of faba beans on narrow ridges. Only the row in the center would branch out. The plants on the side wouldn't give a good production because the plants would not get enough sun and would be weak and fall. But now on the wider raised beds, plants can branch out. You will find up to 5 branches per plant on a raised bed because there is better ventilation. On raised beds, you can leave 20 to 25 centimeters between plants and rows.
5-6 عدان. الاول العده الوليد ما كانش يولد ليه طلع فطسانه مش لاقي مكان تتنفس فيه. لكن الوقت لما نخلي بين الجوره واختها حوالي 20 سم او 25 سم، ال 25 سم دي هتتميل برضه والليد من اليمين ومن الشمال اصبحت كانها سد بس فيه تنفس. غير الأول.
Besides fava beans, wheat also yields more when planted on raised beds. While farmers still prefer to broadcast their wheat seeds to save costs on hiring day laborers, planting wheat in rows on raised beds results in higher profits.
الزرعة المصطبة طبعا محصولها كويس بالنسبة للمحصول، ما بتعرضش لعاصفة هواء ولا أمطار ولا أي حاجة، وبتساعدنا على الحصاد.
When row planting on raised beds, the stems grow strong so the plants are less vulnerable to bending in heavy winds and rains. This makes harvesting easier on raised beds. Because the plants grow in bunches, the stalks support each other and grow thicker. So I get a better yield of both grain and straw for animal feed.
بيطلعوا ساندين بعضيهم. عود النجرة بتلاقيه أخشن من التاني العود اللي حاله، وبتطلع النجرة طبعا ساندة بعضيها وما بتنامش.
حاولت ازرع القمح قبل كده، زرعت قبل كده على عادي، وزرعتها المره الثانيه زرعت على مصاطب. لقيت المصاطب بتجيب انتاجيه اعلى وفي المحصول وبتوفر في الميه.
Harvesting is also easier when wheat is grown in rows. After I planted on raised beds, I got a better harvest, and I saved irrigation and water and seeds. If you have the means to implement raised bed, the extra yield covers the cost of making them, and makes it worthwhile to invest.
احنا نحصل على انتاجيه اعلى عشان تسد الايه او تغطي التعبئه بتاعه الفلاحه او تغطي الفلاحه او الست اشهر بتاعه الزراعه.
زيادة إنتاج.
Wheat planted on raised beds gives about 8 tons per hectare, while flat land yields only 5 to 6 tons. Some people even harvest less than 4 tons because their flat lands flood, and this decreases the wheat harvest.
18 15 16.
Specially designed equipment can prepare mechanized raised beds of the right size. If you have access to a raised bed machine, it will even prepare the beds and plant the seeds simultaneously. The machine can prepare a field of 1 hectare in less than 1 hour, eliminating the high labor cost that row planting presents to many farmers. Whether planting by hand or by machine, you can also save up to half the amount of seeds used compared to broadcast seeding.
لما بيجي مطر وانا كنت راوي وجت نوة برد ومطر ورعد وكده، فالميه دي بتنزل في قلب الخط.
The benefit of raised beds is that if there is an unexpected heavy rain, the water will not flood the top of the beds and destroy your wheat crop. On flat land, the excess water would reduce the germination of wheat seed and reduce tillering. By row planting on raised beds, I use only half the amount of seeds and get more yield because the better drainage allows the wheat to tiller well.
لأن المية بتيجي بتروح غمراها الغلة بتعمل ترجيع وتصفر واضطر ادي سماد ورقي واضطر ادي ايه، يبقى بقت عليها تكلفة عالية.
Let us see how you can use raised beds for different crops. For fava bean, place 1 seed every 20 centimeters in 3 rows. For wheat, also place the seeds in rows. By leaving 15 centimeters between the rows, you can grow up to 7 rows on each bed. Immediately after sowing, flood the entire field and ensure the water covers the tops of the bed. This is important to guarantee the seeds fully absorb the water and germinate. The next irrigations you will save on diesel because you only then need to fill the furrows. The water will reach the roots from the sides of the beds, but should not flood the tops of the beds. With raised beds, it is the soil that absorbs the water. And if your soil is rich in organic matter, it will absorb water like a sponge and benefit your crop even more. Working with organic fertilizers is the only way to do this.
التربة بقى أصبحت سهلة تحتيه، جدره بيمشي أكتر، بيجيب مية من عمق أكتر. لكن لو المواد الكيماوية وعدم استخدام المواد العضوية دي الأرض
The soil is looser and it makes it easier for your plant roots to grow deeper and get water at deeper levels. When you don't add organic fertilizer but use chemical fertilizer, the soil becomes compacted and cracks when dry and water evaporates faster. Roots in soil rich with organic fertilizer are longer and grow more easily because the soil is not compacted and it stays humid. In a soil that has little organic matter, the roots won't be as long, and the roots may get destroyed by the cracks and compaction.
من اللي هو في الارض اللي ما بتاخدش السماد العضوي ده، لانها بتكون تقيله وكابسه فصعبه مع جذر النبات نفسه.
You can use the beds for 2 to 3 planting seasons, if you do not want to plow your land each season. If the beds are well maintained, the initial installation costs becomes an even more worthwhile investment. Let us review what we have learned. Raised bed technology saves water and costs related to pumping, seed, and labor, while giving you more grain and straw at harvest. Raised beds are 20 to 30 centimeters high and up to 1 meter wide. Raised beds improve soil drainage after flood irrigation or after a heavy rain. You can grow up to 7 rows of wheat or up to 4 rows of fava beans on raised beds. By row planting, you need less seed, and the plants grow stronger and support each other, and there is less risk of bending in strong winds. Use organic fertilizers that result in deeper roots and better water retention in your soil. On raised beds, plants are healthier and produce up to 1/3 more. With raised beds, we make better use of our precious water and, above all, make more profit.